Imagine becoming the most powerful man in the greatest republic on earth, only to be murdered by the very men who once called you their ally. On March 15th, 44 BC, Julius Caesar walked into the Roman Senate. He had survived wars, he had conquered Gaul, he had defeated his political enemies, he had crossed the Rubicon and defeated the Roman army itself. And now, he stood at the height of his power. Then the senators surrounded him. One man grabbed his robe, another drew a dagger. And suddenly, Rome's most powerful man was fighting for his life. Caesar was stabbed again and again. But the strangest part isn't how Caesar died. It's how one man managed to become powerful enough that an entire republic became terrified of him. This is the story of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC into an old Roman aristocratic family. But there was a problem. His family was ancient, not particularly powerful. Caesar didn't inherit an empire. He didn't inherit an army, and he certainly didn't inherit absolute power. He had to build it, and Roman politics was brutal. Political families fought for influence. Elections were controlled by wealth and connections. And ambitious politicians needed something even more valuable than money, a reputation. Caesar understood that from an early age. He would eventually become one of the greatest political gamblers Rome had ever seen. One of the strangest stories from Caesar's youth happened when he was captured by pirates. Caesar was traveling across the Mediterranean when pirates seized his ship. They demanded a ransom. According to ancient accounts, Caesar thought their demand was too low. He reportedly told them they should ask for more because they had captured an important man. The pirates laughed. Caesar didn't. He spent weeks among them, but behaved as though he were their superior. He even joked that once he was free, he would return and crucify them. The pirates apparently thought it was a joke. It wasn't. After his ransom was paid and Caesar was released, he raised a fleet, hunted the pirates down, captured them, and had them executed. Even as a young man, Caesar had learned something important. Never underestimate someone who believes he is destined for greatness. Caesar returned to Rome and began climbing the political ladder. But Rome was becoming increasingly unstable. Two men dominated Roman politics, Pompey the Great and Crassus, one of the richest men in Rome. Caesar realized something. He couldn't defeat both men, so he joined them. The three created an informal political alliance that historians call the First Triumvirate. Pompey brought military prestige, Crassus brought enormous wealth, Caesar brought political ambition. Together, they could dominate Roman politics, and Caesar needed something else, an army. In 58 BC, Caesar received command in Gaul. What followed would transform him forever. Over the next several years, Caesar fought campaign after campaign against Gallic tribes. He crossed rivers, stormed fortifications, built enormous siege works, and repeatedly defeated forces that sometimes greatly outnumbered his own. But Caesar wasn't simply fighting wars. He was building a legend. His soldiers became fiercely loyal to him, and Caesar himself wrote about his campaigns. His book, The Gallic War, presented Caesar as the brilliant commander, bringing order to a dangerous world. By the end of the campaigns, Caesar had conquered enormous territories, but he had also created something far more dangerous, an army that was personally loyal to him. Then, Caesar faced one of his greatest enemies, Vercingetorix. A young Gallic leader managed to unite tribes that had previously fought one another. For the first time, Caesar faced a coordinated resistance across Gaul. At Alesia, Vercingetorix and his army were trapped. Caesar ordered his soldiers to construct enormous fortifications around the city. But then a second Gallic army arrived from outside. Caesar was suddenly trapped between two forces. His army was surrounded. For days, the Romans fought desperately. Then Caesar ordered a final counterattack. The Roman army broke through. Vercingetorix surrendered. Caesar had won. Gaul was effectively his. And now Rome had a problem. Caesar had an army, and his political enemies were becoming terrified of what he might do with it. Back in Rome, Caesar's relationship with the Senate deteriorated. His enemies demanded that he give up his command and return as a private citizen. Caesar knew exactly what that meant. Without his army, he could be prosecuted. His enemies could destroy his political career, perhaps even his life. Then, Caesar reached the Rubicon River. Roman law forbade a provincial commander from bringing his army into Italy. Caesar had a choice: disband his army or cross the river. According to the famous tradition, Caesar said, "The die is cast." Then he crossed. There was no going back. Caesar had just started a civil war. The Senate was stunned. Caesar's army marched south. Pompey and many senators abandoned Rome. Caesar advanced, and something remarkable happened. Instead of immediately destroying his opponents, Caesar offered them mercy. Again and again, he pardoned defeated enemies. This became one of Caesar's most famous political tools: clementia, mercy. But mercy had another effect. It made Caesar look powerful. A weak ruler needs revenge. A powerful ruler can afford forgiveness. Caesar's greatest rival was now Pompey, the man who had once been his ally. The two armies eventually confronted each other at Pharsalus in 48 BC. Pompey had more soldiers. Caesar's troops were veterans. The battle became one of the decisive moments of Roman history. Caesar won. Pompey fled to Egypt, and there he was murdered. Caesar arrived in Egypt shortly afterward. He was reportedly presented with Pompey's severed head. Instead of celebrating, Caesar was horrified. His former ally was dead, and now Caesar became involved in Egyptian politics. Egypt had its own civil war. Caesar became involved in the struggle between Cleopatra and her brother Ptolemy XIII. Caesar supported Cleopatra. Their political alliance soon became personal. Together they survived the Alexandrian War. Cleopatra eventually became ruler of Egypt, and Caesar spent months in Egypt. Their relationship would have enormous consequences because Caesar now had an heir, a son named Caesarion, according to Cleopatra. But Rome was waiting. Caesar returned to Rome as the undisputed victor of the Civil War. He was no longer simply a politician. He was the most powerful man in the Roman world. He was appointed dictator, and eventually, dictator perpetuo, dictator for life. Caesar introduced reforms. He reorganized debt, changed the calendar, expanded citizenship, established colonies, reorganized administration, and attempted to repair a political system that had been collapsing for decades. But there was a problem. Romans had spent centuries telling themselves that they hated kings, and Caesar was beginning to look increasingly like one. One famous incident made the situation even worse. During a public festival, Caesar's associate Mark Antony reportedly offered him a royal diadem. Caesar refused it. Whether the gesture was staged or genuine remains debated, but the message was clear. Was Caesar planning to become king? For many Romans, that was unacceptable. The Republic had survived kings. It would not willingly accept another. A conspiracy began forming, and at its center were men Caesar knew personally. March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March. Caesar was warned that danger was coming. Ancient sources tell several stories about warnings and omens. But Caesar went to the Senate anyway. Inside, the conspirators surrounded him. The first blow came, then another. Caesar tried to escape, but the attackers kept stabbing. Among them was Marcus Junius Brutus, a man Caesar had once trusted. According to the famous tradition, Caesar's final words were, "Et tu, Brute," but historians aren't certain Caesar actually said those words. What we do know is that Caesar was murdered. He was around 55 years old, and the men who killed him believed they had saved the Roman Republic. They were catastrophically wrong. The assassination did not restore the Republic. It created another civil war. Caesar's supporters rallied behind his adopted heir, Octavian, and another powerful figure, Mark Antony. Together with Lepidus, they formed the Second Triumvirate. Then they hunted Caesar's assassins. Eventually, Brutus and Cassius were defeated at Philippi, and the Republic continued collapsing. Octavian eventually defeated Antony and Cleopatra. He became Augustus, the first Roman emperor. And here is the great irony. The men who murdered Caesar claimed they were defending the Republic. But Caesar's assassination helped create the Roman Empire. Julius Caesar never officially became emperor, but the political system he destroyed would never truly return. His name became a title, Caesar. It evolved into words like Kaiser and Tsar. His calendar reforms helped create the basis of the calendar used today. His military campaigns transformed the map of Europe. His assassination became one of history's most famous political murders, and his name became almost synonymous with absolute power. But perhaps Caesar's greatest achievement wasn't conquering Gaul. It wasn't defeating Pompey. It wasn't crossing the Rubicon. It was proving that the Roman Republic could be broken. Once one man could command an army personally loyal to him, the old system was already in danger. Caesar didn't single-handedly destroy Rome's republic. Rome had been weakening for decades, but Caesar showed everyone what was possible, and after his death, there was no going back. The Republic was dying, the Empire was being born, and the man who crossed the Rubicon had changed Rome forever.